I'm
Whenever
here
you are.
with the lovely Cristina of Lacuna Coil to talk about the upcoming new record, Sleepless Empire, out February 14th on Century Media Records. Is a pleasure, an honor. I'm going to run out of adjectives to describe having you here to chat with me about the record.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So let's start off by looking at a little bit of the sound on this album. The first thing I notice is this is a much more consistent cinematic sounding record. Not that you guys have never done songs like that, but this one is very consistent from beginning to end as
Mm.
far as that cinematic, almost epic experience that the record has. What inspired you guys to go with a more consistent record from that standpoint?
I love that you said from the beginning to the end because we are still huge fans of full records, not only just uh, s- songs here and there. Of course, things changed. So, of course, you're presenting a single and then another one, and then you put out a new song leading towards the record. But I think that the beauty of at least of our music can be heard listening a record from the beginning to the end. The cinematic part, it's really important for us because we want to treat every record as a sort of a movie in which you will find different moments into it. They are not necessarily super connected, like every song is not necessarily connected to each other, but there is a line overall. I was talking to a journalist uh, this morning, and I was telling him it's like watching a movie. You can watch a part in which the main character talks to another person in a bar, and then you can see another scene in which the same character it's in a bedroom looking at the moon, thinking about something completely different with a different mood. That's exactly what we're trying to reproduce in our music, with every song bringing a different vibe, a different feeling. At least this works for us, for our ears, for our hearts. And then if we can share the vibe, this is great.
It's interesting that you say that because when I was listening to the album, I felt like this record had two great attributes from that standpoint. One is that it feels like a greatest hits because there's elements of the band's discography represented throughout the entire album, but it doesn't feel like a greatest hits from that standpoint of the individuality of the songs because
Mm.
there's this underlying darkness in that overall cinematic presence that ties them all together, even though they're unique in their own way. Do you see the album from that standpoint?
I think that the fact that in between Black Anima, our previous record, uh, after Black Anima, we did Come Alive XX, which is basically the new version of a record that we did 20 years before with new music, with different vocals. The fact that we looked back into the past was like opening like old drawers and just like looking back at, old clothes that we had, and it's just like, oh, but they still look nice. Let's try them on again. And mixing up the outfits and realize that we can still wear the same clothes as well because they still fit us, but we also want to wear something new. So without doing this consciously, because it's something that we realized after the record was out and we started to talk to people, to fans, and many people were telling us like you can hear a lot of old school Lacuna Coil in it, but also, as you said, also a lot of new influences. And I started to think about it, and I was just like, well, we started to write it right after we finished Come Alive, or actually in the same period we were collecting ideas. So maybe that is the reason why this record encapsulates all the vibes.
Yeah, it's a great way to give the fans something new, but also celebrate the old, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
of course. I mean, we always loved our past in music. What we always said is that every record, it's the perfect picture in time of the band. So it's not that we are looking at the first EP or the first record as something old or that we don't like anymore. We are simply different because you grow as a person, you have different interests, you listen to different music, you watch different movies. You lived a different life. You lived more years that brought you to something different.
Yeah, you're just never the same person twice, and especially when it comes to the music, the albums really become a snapshot of the moment, and I
Yeah,
think that that's just part and parcel with being an artist. You're always going to be influenced by who you are at that specific moment when you decided to write that record.
totally. Totally, totally. And it's still you. I mean, it's
Yeah,
still the
yeah, yeah. It's
core is
just a
still there.
different
Is
version
you're
of
not
you,
going to
but still
become
you.
a new another person. It's still you. The essence is always there.
Who did you guys work on the production side? Because this album to me sounded really complicated from putting all the pieces together in order for the fans to get the right image of what you guys were trying to do. So who did you
That's
guys work
curious.
with?
It's still us. It's still us. It's the same group as Black Anima. We recorded in a different place, but I mean, it's still Marco, our bass player, being the internal producer. But we worked like meticulously on every aspect of the record, not only musically but also visually. For us, it's really important to give a vision of the record in terms of like illustrations in the record. We're still lovers of a booklet, of a good old booklet that you can look at as you look at the lyrics to understand more what was going on in our minds. We chose to dedicate a different artwork to every different song. We chose the artist, who is an Italian artist called Roberto Toderico. We asked him to make a drawing of every song, explaining what we wanted from the drawing. And he actually handmade with ink on paper every single artwork. We wanted it to be a very human oriented record from the music to the artwork, and we were in complete control, which is always cool. We have the luck to be in control of our music because our label gives us, the chance to do it. So we were able to convey the vibe that we wanted to convey.
You also had Randy Bly on the record. You had Ash Costello on the record. What did you feel was important to bring them on the album in order to add something to those songs? Is there something specific that both of them had that made those songs that those songs really needed in order to reach its full potential?
It just happened. I mean, we were writing the songs and we were like, it would be interesting to have guests because, I mean, in the past, we had guests on the guitar side. We have friends who came in to create some solos for us, but we never had singers as guests. So we said, like, it would be interesting, to see if some friends can collaborate. And Randy is the first person that we thought of because he's been a longtime friend, is a person that we love dearly, not only on the professional side, but also on the human side. It is a true friend. We have, chats together. We meet each other whenever we can. We really, really love him. We asked him to be part of the record. We were not scared, but very respectful first because we know that it's not just about an artist to want to be part of it. There was so much more. There are labels behind, management, so you never know if you can do things or not. But we sent him a message, and we asked him to be part of hosting the shadow, and he was very happy. He was just like, oh, I was waiting for this moment. It was about time that we would do something together, and it was, of course, an amazing experience. I mean, Randy's so good in what he does, such a charismatic person and great singer, and the song turned out amazingly. And for Ash, it was different because we didn't meet in person before she recorded. In the meantime, we got in touch because I was following her and she was following me on socials. We were commenting each other pictures, sending messages here and there. So I sent her a message telling her that we would have loved to have her on the new record, and she was very happy to do it. We sent her the song, we sent her the part, and she was perfect because we have the same singing style. Especially many women in metal don't have our style, the way we sing. So she was absolutely perfect, and I think it's that she did a great job and she added so much, with her voice and personality.
Is there someone out there that you haven't collaborated on a track, either on their track or on one of yours, that you would love in the future to work with?
There are many artists that I would love to collaborate with, and honestly, metal and non-metal. I always talk about Jonathan Davis because it's a voice that I love very much. I know him as well as a great person, very humble. He's charismatic and humble at the same time, which is something that it's really striking. I love Korn, but I also love his own productions. I think that is a musical genius and very recognizable. That's what I like about him, that he does Jonathan Davis. He does Korn, but that's it. Very recognizable. So it will be cool to work with them. It will be cool to do something completely different. There is an artist who is actually, I think is half Italian, I'm not sure, called Anima. He does EDM with this stunning visuals, incredible visuals. So it's something completely different, but I am intrigued by the fact that he collaborates with real singing voice, real singers, and usually the mixture is very mesmerizing. And I'm like, whoa, I would love to try to see how my voice could sound with something completely different.
That would be
I like
super
I
interesting.
like to experiment. I like to experiment. I want to continue to sing for songs in video games. I sung a song that is in Call of Duty 6 within the game, so that was in is super exciting to do and such a honor, to being such a big game. I sung other songs for video games, so I hope I can continue to do that.
And speaking of singing, your performance on this album is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Like it was like goosebumps because you have this ability. You're one of those singers that has the ability of making the words on the lyrics become an image in your mind, and that's not always easy to do.
Oh, thank you.
And I thought on this album, with that cinematic backdrop of sound that the record has, it makes it even more realistic. Like you can listen to your voice and you can imagine what the song is representing through music and through lyrics and through vocals, but now into an image. How was this album for you vocally?
Well, whenever I have to record, I have to admit that the recording is my least favorite part of the record because I know that I have limited time to do it. Uh, and I hate the rush. When you're singing and you are going in the studio and you know that you have certain days in which you can record, it's always tricky because you might be tired, you might be sick, you might not be in full shape because voice it's an instrumental it's a physical instrumental, it's a physical instrument, so it depends on how you're feeling in that moment when you're performing. So it's always tricky because you might be recording in a day that is not really perfect for you. But I love the vocal lines and the lyrics that we found for this record. So it was somehow easier to convey the emotions. I am also a perfectionist, so when I'm in the studio, I'm like, oh, I don't like this one. Let's do it again. Oh, I don't like this one. Let's do it again. At a certain point, the others were like, it sounds amazing. Let's go. Let's move on. If not, I would still be on the first line and thinking about I can do this better. So
It's okay to be a perfectionist because at the end of the day, once the album is out there, you can't take it back. So
yeah,
you got to be 100% comfortable
true.
with what you've
True,
done.
but there is also that other thing that the more you sing that song, especially on a live environment, the more the song becomes yours. Because it's really during the live shows that your muscle memory really develop, and it's ideally you would have to write a song, not to record it, bring it on tour for a couple of years and then record it because that's where the song really turns into your song. Because sometimes we find ourselves to change some vocal lines in the studio, so you perform it because you're a perfectionist, you try to make it the best you can, but then it's like I feel that if we go on tour and I sing it every night, night after night, my whole body embraces the song even more.
It's interesting that you say that because there's a band, an all girls band named Hoax. They're from Portland, and I've seen them live many times. And every time I see them live, the songs they change a few things here and there. So I've never heard them play the same song
This,
exactly the
yeah,
same twice. And every time I hear it, I'm like, wow, it's better than the previous time that I heard it. And I
yeah,
think that's such a
especially.
cool thing for a live audience to have that kind of experience.
Yeah, and diversity. Well, especially live, if you have to play many concerts, there are some parts of the songs, especially if you sing really high, or I don't know, maybe in some cases with some singers that are growling heavily to preserve the voice, and maybe you change some parts. So some parts that you recorded in full voice might turn into sort of a falsetto, just to be able to deliver night after night because you can't be in shape every single day because touring it's not easy. It's not always easy, to travel all the time, to sleep on a tour bus and then in a hotel and then go back to a tour bus, and maybe you don't sleep enough, and maybe you have to perform with a different time zone. It's not easy because it really depends on how your body is feeling,
Yeah.
and it's not feeling perfect all the times.
There's no sick days on tour, that's for sure. That and shitting
Uh,
on the bus. That's also there's not a thing you do on tour.
that's true.
You know,
That's true.
this record with the title Sleepless Empire, then you have a song called Sleep Paralysis. So I gotta
Mhm.
ask you, what keeps you awake at night?
Well, everything. I mean, I honestly have to say that I sleep as much as I can, and for me, sleep is sacred. But I have to say that the Sleepless Empire for me is probably that anxiety that I have as an artist, uh, to be present all the times, to do stuff all the times, which is something that I didn't have to do back in the days. Back in the days, I just had to write music, sing, record my parts, and go on tour and meet fans and maybe do meet and greets in real life. Now it feels like you have zero break because with social medias you can post at any time during the day. You know that during the night something will be happening at the other side of the world because someone will be waking up when you're going to sleep. So you always have this urge to do stuff, to post stuff, to let the world know what you're doing. Uh, and sometimes you're like, whoa, 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 wait a second. Even if I stop for a couple of days, nothing is gonna happen because I mean, in the past I did it every day. Nobody cared about what I was eating for lunch. Nobody cared. And now it's different. So I put myself in the Sleepless Empire as well because I love social medias. I love the contact that we have with our fans. I love to see immediate reactions to what we put out. I love to share my everyday life. It's something that I do with pleasure. But on the other side, it's like how people that grew up in this only can feel about the real world,
Yeah.
because I am able to balance the two things. After the interview, I will go to the stadium to watch a a soccer match together with my nephew. So I will be spending quality time talking to him face to face. But there are people that are never getting out of the houses because they think that everything is in a computer or a smartphone because they grew up this way.
Yeah, I see that with my son. He's 20 years old. He grew up in this era. He has a, sometimes I feel like people are becoming a little bit awkward in person. They don't know how to communicate in person because there's
That
no
is
device
absolutely
in
true.
front of them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was talking to a guy who is a very, very young streamer a few days ago, and he was telling me that he's anxious to order a pizza because he does it online, because when it happens that he's with friends and they're just like, let's call the pizzeria, just ask for the pizzas, nobody wants to call. And they end up, just like and they hang up because they don't know how to ask for a pizza, to order a pizza.
I know that people become so awkward with
Yeah.
themselves because they feel like they're completely out of their environment and out of their comfort zone. Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
what Serie A team do you follow?
AC Milan.
Okay, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. I was hoping not for Inter or Juve. That's what I was kind of hoping.
Oh, no, 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 no,
As long
never.
as it's not
No, in
Inter or Juve.
my family runs just AC Milan supporters. So, and I became a PlayStation playmaker. So I officially work for PlayStation, and PlayStation is sponsoring the Champions League. So they invited me to the match tonight, AC Milan Girona. So I'm going, and
Uh,
I'm bringing my nephew with me. So it's
I'm
gonna be
very
fun.
jealous. I'm very jealous. I actually was home yesterday watching the matches. I'm my background is Portuguese, so so football, as we call it, is like a religion, is a passion. Like
Yeah.
my team lost to Barcelona yesterday, so everybody knew not to talk to me afterwards. I just don't want to talk to anybody. I'm in a
I know.
horrible
I
mood.
know. I
It's
know. Well, it happens, but in the end, I mean, there's nothing we can do, and we're still, looking at it from the outside. So I think that's the beauty of sports. One day you're here, one day you're here, but your heart belongs to this or that team. It was the same for me. I mean, we won the Derby for the second time in a row, which was amazing, because of the rivalry in between Inter and Milan. And I was very happy. But a few days ago, we lost against Juve 2-0. And I mean, we're not high in the
in the
chart.
table, in the standings, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, hey, whatever, we should win tonight, but it's like, let's see how it goes, just
Ah,
let's go there and support the
you,
team.
you guys should win. It should be a great game, by the way.
We
Uh,
should, but I'm afraid, of this because every time you're too convinced that you're gonna win, there will be the surprise
that
because
is
they
true.
want to win as well. So you never have to estimate the
That is totally true.
enemy.
Yeah, you have to
Never.
it's you always have to I always go into a game with some moderate confidence. Moderate, just very
Exactly,
moderate,
exactly.
you know.
Confident, but never like, yeah, for sure we're gonna win this because that's exactly when you're gonna lose because you just go there so sure that you kind of let the defense more loose.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. You guys, by the way, going to be touring across North America with Machine
Yeah.
Head. Massive tour. I think it's going to be one of the biggest tours of 2025 in North America. How much of Sleepless Empire is going to be part of that tour for you guys?
I think that we're going to be bringing all the songs that are out so far, for sure. Hosting the Shadow, unfortunately, without Randy because he's going to be away. We'll see Gravity for sure. There was a new song that we will put out, which is I Wish You Were Dead,
That's
that
my
will
favorite
come
on the album, by the way.
out.
Like
Thank you.
I can't believe you guys did not release that as the first single. It's
There is
such
a
a good
reason
song.
for it. There is a reason for it. And now, I mean, and now I can tell you, even if we're still far from the date, but not too far, we didn't release it because it's a song that we want to put out on Valentine's Day
Okay, okay.
with
Okay,
a video because we like the contrast
that
in
is
between, Valentine's Day and a song that says "I wish you were dead" inside of my head, which is going to
yeah.
be dedicated to everyone who's suffering for love or went through it, which it happened to all of us. Come on.
Now, are you talking about in an abstract way, or there's somebody in your head that you wish wasn't there?
Well, I think we all do. We all do. Maybe we don't really hope that this person will completely disappear because we are because we went through these experiences. But I think that we all had more than a person the moments that we want to delete from our head. Because with the passing of time, I mean, the memories are kind of weaker and you suffer probably less. But I think it's a very relatable song because it happened to all of us. It could be a relationship, but it could also be on a friendship point of view. It could be a person at your place where you work that you can't stand, but you keep thinking about this person, I don't know, who's bullying you or you don't like to work with. It could be many, many different reasons, but we all have, that moment in which we're like, oh, I wish you were dead inside of my head. I don't want to think about that person anymore.
I can't wait for people to hear that song because I think it's going to be such a popular song. Like I said, I absolutely love it. It's my favorite track on the record, hands down. It's just such a great song, and I'm
Thank
happy to
you.
hear that it's going to be part of the set list because I'm going to be at the Toronto show. I'm looking forward to seeing you there
Nice.
at the
Nice.
Toronto
See you
show.
there.
Yeah, so it's going to be a
Yeah,
great moment.
we're gonna be filming the video for it this weekend with
Oh,
the same people we worked with for Gravity because I mean we worked so well and the result was so stunning that we decided to work again and we worked on the script that it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. A little bit ironic, a little bit serious. It's going to be fun.
it's going to be Lacuna Coil
Yes.
at
Yes,
the end of the day.
definitely.
Christina,
Definitely.
thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This was a pleasure, an honor. Like
Really
I just
mine.
had a blast talking to you about your music, and like I said, I'm gonna put the tour dates on the description of the video
Thank you.
as well as
Thank
a
you so
link to the
much.
pre-order of the album. And I'll see you in North America. I'll see you specifically in Toronto.
Absolutely.
I'll be there.
Absolutely. See you there. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.